We're playing the Epic Storm again. Another week, another TES video, this time featuring Mistrise Village. It's exciting. Let's go check it out. We're playing TES again. It's thanks to community member Velgrim, who's been loving all of the recent TES content because they're a member of the Stormtrooper tier on Discord. You can join that either through YouTube or Patreon at the $30 level. And in there, you get access to what we're actually testing. And Velgrim has been loving that. And some of those recent innovations have included Mistrise Village. So if you're unfamiliar with this card, it's a land and it's from Tarkir Dragonstorm. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you have a forest or a mountain, taps for a blue, and then for a blue and tap this land, you can make your next spell uncounterable. And that's not instant or sorcery, which means you can make Defense Grid uncounterable, or even Veil of Summer, Echo of Eons. So this land has been really impressive. Recently, I've been testing night and day. I've been loving playing Entomb the Epic Storm, and I really do mean that. In fact, I've played roughly 260 matches since that first video that I've posted. So I've been playing a lot of it, and with various lists, some with main deck Thoughtseize, some with 3 defense grid, some with no defense grid, and I even tried a list that had 3 main deck Mistrise Village and no defense grids. So I've been testing different things, and today we're kind of going back in time a little bit. So I'm reverting back to the old Underground Sea, Undercity Sewers pairing with Commercial District Taiga. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I want a perfect mana base where you can play Bloodstained Mire and Verdant Catacombs and then get your entire thing. So previously I was playing a mana base that had a Volcanic Island in it. And when you do that, you kind of struggle in order to fetch for everything. And if you follow MTG Goldfish, you'll see that I have a 5-0 posted where my only fetch lands were Bloodstained Mire because there was no secondary fetch land that got all of the lands that I was trying to play. So I've been trying a bunch of different things, and really the mana base I feel like is the thing that I've been testing the most recently. So whether it's Mistrise Village, if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 3, or if it's 1 Surveil land versus 2. In that last video I recorded where I debuted Defense Grid again, I was only playing 1 Surveil land. And I think one thing that I've learned through my day job is that no one gets anything meaningful done on their own. And being a part of a team really helps, especially, I mean, you could compare that to the Pro Tour where people that test on teams always do better. Well, there are some people I lean on and I ask questions, and Quentin Coldman was someone who's been playing a lot of the Epic Storm recently, and I asked them for their feedback, and they said that they missed the second Surveil land quite a bit, and that they would play it over the second copy of Mistrise Village. So today we're trying a second Surveil land again. It might not be right, I don't know. But I'd like to give it a shot because when I cut it, I was playing Thoughtseize in the main, and we had a faster deck. Well, with Defense Grid, you play a little bit of a slower game versus blue decks. And versus blue decks, you'd probably want that extra Surveil land. So I'm willing to try a second Surveil land again today in order to support the Defense Grid. It's also great when you have 4 things to surveil to the graveyard, like Echo of Eons or the Runehorn Hellkite. And I've been loving this card. It's just so good. It really puts pressure on the opponents to counter either Gamble or Entomb. And I've just had a lot of fun playing this. Like, I don't think Legacy is particularly healthy right now, but I do love this deck. So that's what I've been doing in my free time. In the sideboard, I've recently switched to playing 4 copies of Into the Flood Maw. For some reason, the number isn't in Magic Online right now, but I am playing 4 copies of Into the Flood Maw. No copies of Besage or Abrupt Decay or Chain of Vapor, nothing. So when you're playing Defense Grid, you really don't want... Whoops, I accidentally cut one there. You really don't want to have your opponent copy Chain of Vapor and bounce your Defense Grid. The same can be said for Song of Creation. So instead of playing a bounce spell that could punish you, why don't we just play one with a minimal drawback? Giving your opponent a tapped fish rarely matters. In fact, I haven't had it come up yet as relevant. So I think that playing Into the Flood Maw is probably just the best thing you can do. And I like that it's 1 mana, which means it bounces Leyline of the Void or Karn the Great Creator. In fact, I've faced a ton of Karnforge combo recently, and I've been beating it due to Into the Flood Maw. So I like this card a lot right now, and that's sort of where I'm at. So we're going to play this list today. Hopefully we do well. Thank you to Velgrim again for the donation deck. I really do appreciate your support and all the innovation that we've been making together in that Stormtrooper tier. I do have a sideboard guide available. You can find that in the description down below or at theepicstorm.com/shop. Everyone, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. We're on the draw versus someone that plays a lot of control decks in Legacy. I think I'm going to keep this. I don't love the second copy of Beseech the Mirror, but I do like having Defense Grid. And we have a Surveil land, which should help me be able to find one more mana. And if that mana is a Chrome Mox, then imprinting this Beseech the Mirror could become relevant. They play a snow-covered island into Ponder. And they did not shuffle on the Ponder. We draw another Defense Grid. Okay, well, I would like more mana, please. Alright, Burning Wish is not mana. That can go to the graveyard. Pass the turn. They play a Flooded Strand for an Underground Sea. Thoughtseize. Joke's on you, my hand is terrible. I was hoping to draw some mana, and I did not. They have 4 cards in their hand. They take a Dark Ritual. Interesting. Okay. I would have guessed the Defense Grid. We draw Badlands right on time. Just how I drew it up. Boom! Defense Grid. And they daze. Sure. Pass the turn. So they have 5 cards in their hand. We know one of them is a basic island. They play a Ponder. And they found Wasteland. That hurts. They hit the Badlands knowing that my hand is a Dark Ritual plus double Beseech the Mirror. We find another Echo. Things are looking a little grim here. Marsh Flats. So they still have that island in their hand. Chrome Mox, I'll play that. Imprint the Beseech the Mirror. And we'll try Defense Grid one more time. They fetch in response. We know that one of the 4 cards in their hand is a basic island. Orcish Bowmasters, sure. Okay. And another Daze. Alright, so they have 1 unknown card at the moment. I don't know what it is. And 2 after their draw step. They play Underground Sea, so they have 2 unknowns. I could try to jam Dark Ritual Beseech the Mirror and get Gaia's Will, which would be a win if it all resolved. Is a Murktide Regent? Alright, so I would only lose to a 3rd copy of Daze, which I probably shouldn't have spoken into existence. No way, I just had to draw the freaking Gaia's Will. No way. Come on, deck. Oh, it's like a meme on this channel at this point. Ah, why are you like this guy as well? Even in a game where the deck was looking bad, we were actually going to pull out a win, and then Gaia's Will had to come out of nowhere. Oh, wow. Okay. So disappointing. We just have to Beseech the Mirror for a diamond and spin. Hope that our 7 cards beats Dimir tempo. Ah, sheesh. I can't believe it. We just had to draw the Gaia's Will. There's no justice. We'll make 3 blue, spin the Echo, Storm is 4, and we're going to take a bunch of damage here off Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, so our hand allows us to do something here, which I like. So, I'll take 7. This does knock me pretty low on life, so I'll be at 10. We'll play the Mistrise Village, play Lotus Petal, play Lion's Eye Diamond, and we'll try a Dark Ritual, Entomb. From 8. So I can grab Echo, and I can make the Echo uncounterable here. And I feel like that's probably worthwhile. But the downside is I'm only going to have 1 mana post Echo. So we have 1 black mana floating. I've played a land, Storm 9. No, even gamble for Dark Ritual doesn't do it here. Yeah, there's no way that this gets it done. Bummer. Okay, so we lose game number 1. Gaia's Will. Sheesh. Okay, so Dimir tempo. I've been boarding in 2 Into the Flood Maw and then shaving 1 Entomb and 1 Mox Opal. Something I've sort of accepted is that a lot of the blue decks, and I mean Dimir tempo is not one of them, but it could be, are playing a lot of creatures in their sideboards these days. Clear and Conquer, stuff like that. Obviously not Dimir tempo, but just blue decks in general. And when I was playing Beside You, it was starting to get to me that I'd be boarding in this card that would answer Null Rod or Grafdigger's Cage that would lose to a Lavinia or a Collector Oof out of a blue deck. And I decided that I was just done playing Beside You for a while. And you might be saying, why not play Abrupt Decay then? And that's a reasonable response. The downside of playing Abrupt Decay is that it doesn't answer Leyline of the Void. So why am I playing a card that doesn't beat Leyline of the Void? I think the real thing is that Into the Flood Maw is just good enough, and that you just want to protect it with Defense Grid or Veil of Summer or whatever. Alright, on the play for game number 2. Sure, we'll keep, play the Bloodstained Mire, and pass the turn. Underground Sea into Nile Spellbomb, sure. End step will fetch. Grab Commercial District. I don't think I need Dark Ritual with this hand, I'll get rid of it. Echo. Alright, let's fetch with the Verdant. Grab Badlands, and let's gamble. So you could Veil first. The problem with Veiling first with this hand, in my opinion, is what if you discard the Diamond? Well, obviously I'm punished here. Or discard the Echo, and then they just Nile Spellbomb you in response. That was my fear. I'll gamble again. Grab Veil of Summer. Pass the turn. They play Polluted Delta. Thoughtseize. So if they wanted to, they could take the Echo and then immediately Nile Spellbomb me. And they do take the Echo. Yeah, they just got a lot of value out of that Nile Spellbomb. Unfortunate. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll draw another Echo. Does not feel good. Dark Ritual, we have to pass. Entomb would be a very good draw at this point. They play Flooded Strand. And Ponder. Another Nile Spellbomb, sure. Burning Wish. So I can't go off Protected. I feel like casting this right now would be a pretty big mistake. So I'm going to just pass the turn and hope to draw another land at some point. Tundra. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Ooh, the Wasteland hurts. I will float a green. May hardcast a Fairy Macabre. Sure. You got it. Another diamond. I suppose I'll play it. Like, there is a world in that I get back into this game. If I could draw a Runehorn Hellkite or resolve an Entomb, like, it is possible. Now they're swinging for 2. Sure. And they ponder. Bloodstained Mire. We will pass. So I do have another Taiga to go grab. So I'm 1 mana short of Burning Wish being relevant again. They brainstorm. They play a land, 5 cards in their hand. Undercity Sewers. I could also go grab our Undercity Sewers and surveil on the end step, hoping to find another mana. I go to 14. Fetch down to 13. Grab Undercity Sewers. Technically that does it. Play the Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. Burning Wish. Storm is 3. They Hydroblast. I mean, I'll attempt to fight here. I don't expect this to resolve. Veil of Summer. And they Force of Will, Exiling Daze. They have 2 cards in their hand. Pass the turn. They attack with the Fairy Macabre. I go to 11. And Orcish Bowmasters. Yep. I'm at 10. My odds of getting back in this game via a wheel are, you know, going away quickly. The Veil was a good draw, but I would need a wheel plus a green source now, which is 2 draws away at the bare minimum. Prismatic Ending. That hurts. And I can't bounce my own thing with Into the Flood Maw. It states an opponent. It's permanent. Okay, so that gets exiled. They're attacking. I'll go to 6. I think we're dead. Pass the turn. Brainstorm. And Deafening Silence. Cool. This person really does not like combo. Okay, I'm at 2. I don't think there's a single card I can draw that gets me back into this, but I will end step bounce the Deafening Silence. I guess, okay, here's my out. I draw exactly Echo. I imprint the Veil, and then I would Echo with the Bowmaster triggers on the stack. I'd have to draw another Veil, and that Veil would have to resolve. But none of that happened, and we lose match number 1. So losses happen, not the end of the world. I'm just going to try to win the next 4. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round number 2, we're looking to make a comeback here. I'm on the play and I have no idea what our opponent's playing today. This hand does not do anything. We do not have Metalcraft. I will mulligan. This hand does have Metalcraft but no Mox Opal. So you could keep this and get rid of a Chrome Mox, and then this is a turn 1 Song of Creation plus trigger. I think I like that. If our opponent has a Force of Will, I might cry myself to sleep, but I think you're supposed to keep it. It's a hand with turn 1 potential. We'll play Bloodstained Mire and fetch. Go grab that Badlands. Play Dark Ritual. Play the Chrome Mox. Imprint the Echo of Eons. And now we're going to play Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Sacrifice the Chrome Mox. Storm is 3. We'll grab Song of Creation. Put it on the stack. It resolves. You'll love to see it. Trigger the Song of Creation. Okay, that was 2 good finds. Play the land and Lines I Diamond. Trigger Song. Okay, so we hit an Opal. I would like to fetch. Or not, I've already played my land. Whoops. Probably should have. It doesn't matter. I don't think I want to Surveil. I'll just grab a Taiga. We'll play Mox Opal. You could crack the Diamond in response, but what if you drew an Echo? I just don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. We'll gamble now. Song triggers. I'm pretty sure we have it from here. Gamble. And we'll grab an Echo of Eons. Play the Lotus Petal. Okay. We'll play another Mox Opal. Dark Ritual. Play Defense Grid. And the opponent concedes. So, no idea what they're playing. I think a safe thing that you can do here is to just board in 2 copies of Flood Maw. And we'll board like they're a blue deck. I'll just take out 1 Opal, 1 Entomb, and we'll try it again. Game number 2, we've opened up a fast Beseech the Mirror hand again. I think I'm going to keep this. It's a turn 1 song, but I don't have a way to trigger it. I also don't know what our opponent's even playing. Lines I Diamond. Lotus Petal. Gamble. Okay. I see that they're a person of culture. I like that. Discards Undercity Sewers. And it looks like we're going to spin. Spin that wheel. Alright, now I need our opponent to pass the turn. Pretty please, pass the turn. Just go straight to cleanup. Don't even bother playing anything. It's going to be fine. Bloodstained Mire and pass. So it looks like we get a chance here to go off. I'll play Chrome Mox. Imprint Veil. And I think I'm just going to accept winning via song here. And I'm not going to bother playing the Defense Grid. I think that's just kind of being a coward. And there's no reason to be a coward here. Let's just win. Echo of Eons. They're going to fetch. You know what? I'll fetch here. I might as well. They're going to Veil. I want to grab my Badlands so that way I don't draw it. You have successfully played Veil of Summer. I'll grab the Badlands. Ooh, that was not good. What can I do here? I could gamble for Beseech the Mirror, and then that puts Song into play, but I can't trigger Song after that. I mean, I could gamble for Diamond and then spin the wheel on Runehorn Hellkite, which is probably the move. And we discard the Runehorn Hellkite. I'll play the Diamond. That was a very bad Echo. Alright, we'll make 3 red. Let's draw 7. Here we go. So I have enough to spin the wheel on Echo again, or I could Galvanic Relay for a boatload and pass. Our opponent has an Echo of Eons in the graveyard, so that probably isn't the best idea. I'll Entomb for an Echo, make a black mana, and we'll spin. Storm 11, play another Diamond. I have 1 more Echo I can spin here. With no mana floating, I'm not loving my odds. Alright, let's try it. Storm 14. And it's just short. I wouldn't have been able to put Tendrils on the stack at any point. I was always just like a mana short of doing something meaningful. They Thoughtseize. I guess we'll Veil of Summer. Okay. They play Underground Sea. Lotus Petal. They're now playing a Chrome Mox. Imprints the Runehorn Hellkite. Dark Ritual. Burning Wish. So is this a Galvanic Relay? Or is the last card in your hand a Lion's Eye Diamond and then we're going to spin? It is a Galvanic Relay. Okay, Relay for 7, but I have a deterministic win already. So our opponent's just dead here. We draw Entomb. I'll play the land. We'll fetch. Let's just get this over quickly. We'll grab Underground Sea, play Dark Ritual, tap some artifacts, hold control. We'll cast the Burning Wish. Discard your hand a Lion's Eye Diamond. Yes. I will grab Beseech the Mirror, and we'll cast it, sacrifice the Mox Opal. Storm is 2. I'm sorry, Storm is 3. We'll grab another Beseech the Mirror, sacrifice the Chrome Mox, and then Gaia's Will be Storm 5. And from here, you could probably close your eyes and cast spells and create lethal. Alright. Storm 7. Mox Opal is Storm 8. Dark Ritual is Storm 9. And they concede the match. So we are now 1-1 winning the mirror. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Round number 3, we're 1-1. We've won the die roll. And I don't think that this is a keep. We'll send it back. This Gaia's Will forever stuck in my hand. Do you keep this? Our opponent usually plays blue decks, so I'm guessing the answer is yes. Put back the Gaia's Will. Our opponent with a mulligan to 5. I would like to play a Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal. And a Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright, pass the turn. Some people get a little jumpy about trying to force of will Lion's Eye Diamonds, so I wanted to be able to play them turn 1 before a possible turn 1 Thoughtseize, and then if they force it, I could Veil of Summer and maybe draw into an Echo or a Gamble or Entomb or whatever. Alright, so they have a turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler, a third Veil of Summer we will pass. They play an island into Ponder, surveils away a Dragon's Rage Channeler, and they attack for 1. Ouch. I will fall to 19 life unless they have another effect, and they don't. Bloodstained Mire. So this can grab the Commercial District on their end step, which allows me to cast Veil of Summer without having to sacrifice a Lotus Petal, and I get to dig for a payoff. For a Steel Cutter. And they attack for 1. I'll go to 18. Fetch. I'll go to 17, and we'll grab that Commercial District. Boom. I love Entomb. Alright, start with the Veil of Summer. I want to see if they try to fight me here. And they do. I will Veil of Summer again. They daze. So I could pay, or I could try to Veil of Summer again. Their last card in hand, well, they have 2 cards. The only way that I'm punished is if their last card in hand is another daze. So their hand would have had to have been Forcible Blue Card Double Daze off of 1 Ponder. I feel like I'm going to just Veil of Summer. Okay, Storm is 5, and I get to draw 2 more cards here. Veil of Summer, another Entomb, and now the Force of will fizzle, and now my spells can't be countered 3 times. We'll play Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Chrome Mox, imprint the Entomb, play Entomb. Storm is 9. Grab an Echo of Eons, and let's spin the wheel. Storm 10, and that does it. Is this what it's like to convert an Echo of Eons? I can't believe it. I've waited my whole life for this moment. Alright, Beseech the Mirror. Sweet. Alright, so we've taken game number 1 from Izzet Delver. I'm going to bring in the 2 copies of Into the Flood Maw again, take out 1 Mox Opal, 1 Entomb, and hit Submit. What's weird is when I saw that we were paired into our opponent, Wizard 2002, they used to be known as the Dredge Person. Back during the pandemic era where I was playing a lot of Magic Online, this person I would face in Legacy and Vintage Challenges, always playing Dredge in both formats, and today they're playing Izzet Delver, or Izzet Tempo, whatever you would like to call it, and it's just a little bit of a departure from in my head of what I know them as. Game number 2, we're on the draw. This hand stinks. We're going to send it back. This hand's close. I think I'm going to keep it, and we'll get rid of the Burning Wish. So you might be saying, Bryant, that makes no sense. Burning Wish is your payoff. I would agree with you. But I think one of the most important things in this matchup is just resolving defense grid. And I was going to say echoing after that, but they played a Grafdigger's Cage. We'll play Undercity Sewers. Well, that's a good find. Flooded Strand for a Volcanic Island, Quarry Steelcutter. So they have a fast clock plus a cage here. 3 cards in their hand. And I reveal Veil of Summer. Okay. So I could just try to slam the defense grid this turn, but I think I'm going to try to surveil and find an action spell rather than just focusing on defense grid. Maybe it's wrong, and I might not have enough time with Quarry Steelcutter on the table, but if I don't find something, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Ponder, Wasteland, that hurts. Okay. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to slam the grid that turn. Maybe I'm playing too defensively here when they have Quarry Steelcutter in play. Instead, we'll fetch down to 13. Grab the commercial district. Get rid of the land. Underground Sea. We'll play Lotus Petal. Play Mox Opal. So I guess if I imprint the Into the Flood Maw, but is there a reason to do it? It just shuts off Gamble and Entomb from being live draws. I'll play out the Chrome Mox. They know that I'm sitting on Veil of Summer, so because of their Urza's Bauble, so they know that I'm going to be able to fight over this defense grid. Pass the turn. So imprinting Into the Flood Maw would have been strictly better if I drew like exactly Beseech the Mirror next turn. They play Polluted Delta. Currently 6 damage on the board. A Brainstorm. Okay. And that gets them the Delirium for the Dragon's Rage Channeler. This might be lethal. Yeah, if they have one more spell, they can cast them dead. And that does it. Okay, so maybe I played this game too reactively. Bummer. Alright, try it again. Game 3, we're on the play. I mean, this hand's a little clunky. I think I'm going to keep it, but it's not a hand that I'm super excited about. I think one of your best draws here is actually Chrome Mox, because it allows you to play turn 2 grid with Veil backup, and then you have a permanent mana source that gets you closer to hardcasting Beseech the Mirror. We'll play Bloodstained Mire, pass the turn. Does Volcanic Island pass? Okay. We'll fetch, grab Undercity Sewers. I suppose I'll take a Lotus Petal. Play the Lotus Petal. Defense grid. Consign to memory. So I can Veil of Summer here, but if they have Daze, they get both of my things. I think I just have to risk it. Veil of Summer. They have Force of Negation, exiling Force of Will. Okay, that's a lot of interaction. They have 3 cards left in their hand. They play an Island, Quarry Steelcutter, Verdant Catacombs. We'll play the Burning Wish. I'm not even sure if what I'm grabbing here. It might just be Echo, but holding the Burning Wish doesn't really help me. Yeah, I think it's just going to be Echo here. We'll pass. So the bad part about the situation I'm in is I want to fetch for the other Surveil land, but that means I'm really far away from casting Beseech the Mirror, and I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm going to sit on this Verdant Catacombs, and they Lightning Bolt. Okay. So I go to 16, now they can attack for 2. They still have 2 cards in their hand here. Runehorn Hellkite, not a great draw. We'll pass. I'm at 12. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. So if this resolves on their end step, I can Runehorn Hellkite, and then untap with 3 lands. They play a Channeler. Sure. End step I'll fetch. I go to 9. We'll grab the Badlands. Make 3 red. And Runehorn Hellkite. They discarded Forcible blue card Daze. Justice, that's what I have to say. Justice. And that's a Burning Wish. We could try a win here. I don't know what their hand consists of, but I know that there's a Force of Will in exile, there's a Force of Will in the graveyard, and a Force of Negation in the graveyard. So we can try to force through a win of some sorts here. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Play the Chrome Mox. No. Try Burning Wish. Storm 4, yes. Grab Beseech the Mirror. I guess I can play out the Diamond. Storm 5. Beseech the Mirror, sacrifice the Chrome Mox. They're going to Brainstorm in response. And we'll grab Guy as well. And we'll add 3 black. So even if they have a force here, I could still flashback Echo. And it doesn't look like they do. We'll play a diamond. Play Defense Grid. And they concede the match. So we got it. Runehorn Hellkite for the win. We are now 2-1, climbing our way back up after losing that brutal round 1 to Esper control. Let's try to get the next 2. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. For round number 4, we're facing someone whose Goldfish history is one of 2 polar opposite decks. It's either blue-green Omnitel or mono-black Leyline Stompy, and what they're playing today, I have no idea. So this hand can turn 1 Entomb, or we have Veil of Summer. I think I'm going to keep, because if it is Helm Stompy, and I hope that it's not, it looks like it is, we could Surveil a few times, and then you have the Veil of Summer to cantrip. I don't need a Taiga. I will play out the artifacts here. We need to draw Beseech the Mirror. Like, that's what I need. Or Burning Wish that would allow me to Reverent Silence, and then I could use this Entomb to go grab Echo. Alright, Mono Black Leyline Stompy. It's admittedly very good in the leagues because there's a lot of graveyard combo in the leagues. They imprint another Leyline of the Void. Okay. Uh-oh. Is this just a turn 1? That's scary. Yeah. So next turn I'm deterministically dead. We'll cycle the Veil of Summer. The land doesn't do it. Burning Wish? Okay, so we can get rid of the Leyline of the Void. I will grab the Reverent Silence, play the Verdant Catacombs, and goodbye to Leyline of the Void. Boom! Boom! Alright, so I celebrated a little early. I'm willing to admit there's a situation in here which I could die, which is if the final 2-3 cards in their hand are land plus Dauthi Voidwalker, which I shouldn't speak into existence, but here we are. No! Ah, brutal. Just devastating. Okay. I tried. I mean, it had to be perfect, and it was. So my own fault for speaking those things into existence. Alright, so, whoops. Get rid of the defense grids. Bring in the bounce spells. Board out the Mistrise Village. And then 2 copies of Veil of Summer. I just don't think you're really allowed to hold open Veil of Summer in this matchup. Alright, game number 2, we're on the play. This hand stinks, we'll send it back. Ay. This one's not great either. We'll go to 5. So technically this is a turn 1 Echo, but the odds they mull the Leyline are pretty high. I think I'm going to keep. It's very risky. Okay. We have 5 cards. No turn 1 Leyline. Okay. Chrome Mox. We'll imprint the Veil of Summer. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Mox Opal. Burning Wish. Storm 4. Yes, we'll go grab the Echo of Eons. And we'll spin. Storm 5. Just trying to give us both new hands. Pretty kind of me, right? Alright, so this spins again. We'll grab the Badlands. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Dark Ritual. Entomb. We'll grab the Echo. And let's spin. So this leaves us with 4 mana floating Storm 10. Devastating. Okay. Have to pass the turn. We had Beseech mana floating, couldn't draw it, or I guess if I had drawn Burning Wish, I didn't have red. They play a Vault of Whispers, and just pass. Wow. We draw Beseech the Mirror. So how I lose this game is like Opposition Agent, so we just need to keep the Opal open for the Into the Flood Maw. Dark Ritual. And I think I'm going to not burn both copies of Dark Ritual. Or maybe that's silly. I mean, I could also just Guy as well. Like, what are the odds that the deck with Dauthi Voidwalker and Leyline of the Void is also playing Fairy Macabre, but these people are psychopaths, so like you don't know what they're going to do. For surgical extraction. Alright, I'm going to beseech the mirror. Sacrifice the opal. Here comes the opposition agent. Yeah. So now into the Flood Maw. And we'll grab the Song of Creation. Play it. I would like to surveil, I think. I get 3 draws off of the veil here. LED on top. And I will crack this diamond for black, I think. Alright, song triggers, veil, Lion's Eye Diamond, trigger. Ah, brutal. Alright, I fizzled. I have to pass. I could have taken the risk on Guy's Will, but I don't know. Like, these decks tend to play like a lot of graveyard hate, and I felt like it was worth risking on the song. They play land number 2, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, Karn the Great Piece of Trash. Okay, so I don't have artifacts. I also don't have a blue land to cast one of my remaining copies of Into the Flood Maw. This deck is incredibly hateful. They kill my Chrome Mox, sure. Entomb. Cast it, I suppose. Trigger the song. So that gives me a chance. I'd have to rip a blue land. We'll put Echo to the graveyard. Play the Chrome Mox. Trigger. Might as well imprint on the Echo. I can't use this mana, but if I manage to draw a fetch land into the Underground Sea. Okay, so that gives me 2 more looks. I mean, 4 more looks total. 2 more spells I can cast. Tendrils of Agony. Play the Lotus Petal. Come on, deck. Trying to keep it alive here. Chrome Mox. There's the fetch land. I think that does it. Imprint the Runehorn Hellkite. We'll fetch. Grab the Underground Sea. Bounce the Karn, the Great Piece of Trash. You can have a fish. Because that's what people that play Karn are. You're all fishes. I say that, and then I'm going to get slammed in Game 3. I'm just trying to talk trash. Ignore me. I'm not funny. Alright, Lotus Petal. We'll play Mox Opal. Dark Ritual. And let's play Tendrils of Agony. We did it. Even if they have a Mindbreak Trap here, I could Tendrils them again out of the sideboard. But I'm guessing if they did have a Mindbreak Trap, I'm just throwing it out there, that they probably would have hit the Into the Flood Maw and Karn the Great Piece of, you know. But I got it. So now we need to win Game 3 on the draw. On the draw, I'm going to board out a Veil of Summer for the Mistrise Village. It's just an extra blue land that helps cast my blue bounce spells. So we'll do this. Is this an insane person keep? I mean, I have the bounce spell, so I can answer Leyline or Karn or anything else. I have lands, so I don't lose to, you know, just our opponent playing something disruptive. I kind of like it. Keep Leyline of the Void, Ancient Tomb. We draw Entomb. I'll play the Underground Sea and pass. Urborg. Dothy Voidwalker. Okay, so the graveyard is shut off. Another Flood Maw. Okay, I'll play the Sewers, because if I need to, I could try to double bounce these if they try to Helm me. But I would need to untap for that to be a reality. They have land number 4. Chrome Mox. So if this is Beseech the Mirror, it's the win. They have a Thoughtseize. It looks like it's Beseech the Mirror. I think I've lost. They did it wrong? They don't have any mana floating? Oh, Ill-Gotten Gains. They're going to Mind Twist me. You could have just decked me. I guess this is more fun when you have a Dothy Voidwalker in play? Yeah, I mean, this beats me. Okay, so we lose to the Black Stompy strategy. Shouldn't have talked so much trash about Karn, clearly. We are now 2-2 with 1 match left to go. Want early access to articles at theepicstorm.com? Become a member of our Patreon to get articles 7 days early, on top of other sweet benefits, and help us pay our website team. You can sign up at patreon.com/theepicstorm. Match number 5, we're facing an Esper Vial Specialist. We're on the draw. I'm going to keep this hand, but it seems a little bit weird because we have double Lion's Eye Diamond and we have an Echo, which means that if for some reason they're playing Death and Taxes, you could just spin the wheel on Echo. But you also have an uncounterable Runehorn Hellkite, so why wouldn't you just mulligan? I like the idea of putting Echo to the graveyard, if I'm being honest, and that's the big difference maker for me here. And they play it first turn either Vial. I mean, to me, I'm willing to bet that they're still just Esper Vial and not Death and Taxes, but I could be wrong. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. They're thinking about it. Lion's Eye Diamond. And we're going to Runehorn Hellkite. Storm is 2. And they discarded Force of Will and a blue card. We did not draw a land. Holy moly. Really? Okay, so I guess I'm going to go all in on a gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond here. And then hope that it resolves. Gamble, Storm 4. We'll select the Lion's Eye Diamond. And it's the Red Entomb. Brutal. We have one Lion's Eye Diamond left in our deck. There's no lands in the top 25% of our deck. That's a little unlucky. And now they have a Lavinia. Yep. Okay. I'm sure there's someone that's like, clearly you should have mulliganed. I don't necessarily agree. I do think that hand was a keep. Sometimes in Magic, you just lose. You can make the right decision and lose. It is possible. So we're facing an Esper Hate Bear strategy. So I think I want maybe all of the Into the Flood Maws. And I think you're probably supposed to just try to be a little more consistent and get rid of the Entombs here. The question is, do I want to try to bring in Thoughtseize? Because they are a deck with a lot of hate. You could board out one Opal. Maybe get rid of one Flood Maw then. We'll try this. Game 2 on the play. We've opened up a hand where we can gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond. And then on turn 2, we can Runehorn Hellkite. But I need to not discard the Lion's Eye Diamond. Or the Dark Ritual. I think I'm going to risk this. They are a deck that's boarding in 4 more forces, so they're boarding up to 8 now. And they're having a pretty aggressive mulligan, all the way down to 5. Okay, they kept their 5 cards. We will fetch and gamble. Grab the Badlands. Gamble. It resolves, we'll select Lion's Eye Diamond. The Red Entomb once again. You're killing me here. Ay, ay, ay. Not my league. I will say this. So, like, sometimes in Magic you do just lose. But we've faced in this league 3 matches where our opponents are clearly targeting combo decks. Round 1, I thought we were facing Dimir Tempo. It turns out that they were like Esper control. But having Deafening Silence in a match where they're already really close to possibly favored pushes them over the edge. And, okay, well, they're looking to beat combo, so they played an extra card. They were able to do so. And then the Mono Black Helm deck is definitely a deck that's built to prey on combo. And then this Esper Hate Bears Vial deck, whatever you would like to call it, is clearly playing main deck Lavinias to beat people like me. So it's a rough league, but that is the league metagame, unfortunately. We'll play Burning Wish, grab the sideboard Thoughtseize. They Brainstorm in response. Burning Wish back on the stack. Force of Negation, exiling Venser. Okay. I mean, that's a good exchange in my book. And step they fetch, 2 cards remain. Meticulous Archive. They kept the card on top. Aether Vial goes to 2. Another Brainstorm. So their last list is also playing main deck Hull Breachers and Opposition Agents. Like, this deck is really made to beat me. They're not like trying to beat me in particular, but they're built to beat combo. So it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to try to take advantage here. We're going to try to resolve Beseech the Mirror for Gaia's Will. Alright, Gaia's Will on the stack. You have 3 cards. What are they? That apparently resolves. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. Looks like they might have a Consign to Memory in their hand based on this pause. We'll play Mox Opal. Fetch. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can do here. Grab the Underground Sea. Dark Ritual. So I could crack for red if they do have a Consign. And then I could go Beseech. Actually, I don't even have enough to Tendrils for lethal. So maybe the right play here is Song. Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. Tendrils of Agony would be 1 short. Oh, I guess I could have gambled first. We'll play Song of Creation. The punish here is if they have a Hydroblast, but my read is that they have Consign to Memory. Trigger the Song of Creation. Like, the pause on the Lion's Eye Diamond really... I mean, maybe they just sold it well, but I'm pretty sure they have a consign, and they do. And now the gamble happens. So we pick a card that is going to be exiled due to Guy's Will. So you should just get rid of like a fetch land or something here, and then pass the turn. And now their Aether Vial goes up to 3 counters. Recruiter of the Guard. So this can go grab a Lavinia, or a can toughness 2 or less. So this could grab a Hull Breacher if they have land 3. They grab Brazen Borrower. That would also work. Alright, Song of Creation is back in my hand. We have to pass. And now they fetch. 2 cards in hand. Cryptic Coat. Okay. 1 card left. And it's a Harbinger of the Tides. Or is it of the Seas? Of the Seeds. Okay. I don't think I can beat that. I guess I could draw an Echo. And then we Echo and win. So I have 2 Echoes I could draw into. So they should put Yori into hand this turn. I guess they didn't, but if they did, they could have vialed it in. We'll pass. Except they flash in Brazen Borrower. Well, I guess they could put Yori into hand this turn and then vial it in. Maybe that's why, so that way they were keeping up the damage. I'm at 2. They do put the Yori into their hand. And now they vial it in. And they search out an Orcish Bowmasters. Wait, no, the Orcish Bowmasters was underneath the Cryptic Coat? Okay, that's going to beat me. That's nuts. Okay, yeah, I don't have any outs. Yeah, I'm dead. Okay, so this league did not go super well. Yeah, so, you know, losses happen. I'm not going to beat myself up too much. We did face 3, like, anti-combo decks, so I guess I'll share some thoughts with you that I've been, you know, posting in the Stormtrooper section of the Discord. Defense Grid is very good when you're spinning with Echo of Eons and Runehorn Hellkite, but it's tough to resolve. I really like that it's an artifact for Beseech the Mirror and Mox Opal, but I can't help but wonder if the deck would be better with just 3 Thoughtseizes in the main deck, because Thoughtseize allows you to go like turn 1 Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, and Tomb Spin, and you have more protected, faster Echo of Eons. So everyone I talk to is like, no, I like the defense grids. And maybe I'm wrong, but I keep on wondering, is the Thoughtseize build better? And if you move the Thoughtseizes to the main deck, you open up 2 sideboard wish slots, and you could play Empty the Warrens and Peer into the Abyss again, because there's been a few times recently, and I won't say it comes up every league, but every few leagues where I'm like, oh, I wish I had an Empty here. And I tried only 1 Tendrils of Agony, so only the main deck one, and then over the Tendrils in the sideboard running an Empty. But I had it come up a few times where I couldn't Beseech the Mirror, or I had already used the Beseech the Mirror, and now there wasn't a Beseech the Mirror in my sideboard. So I'm not sure if I love that. So if you move the Thoughtseizes to the main deck, you do get Peer into the Abyss to beat Graveyard Hate. You get Empty the Warrens to beat Graveyard Hate. But I don't know if that's necessary, because Peer is not a card that's used very often. It's like less than 2% of the games. So do you really want a sideboard card for 2% of the games? That sort of thing. Just like, I don't know how good Defense Grid really is. It didn't show in this league, but in my testing, Mistrise Village was very good. It's just, we didn't really draw it this league, or if we did, we didn't have Veil of Summer or Defense Grid, so it never really got a chance to shine. Yeah, so this league was kind of a mess. I don't know if this is the list moving forward. I'm going to continue to try stuff out. Let me know if you like that I'm posting weekly updates on when I'm testing or not. I realize that, you know, it might be too much TES content, because I did notice the second video from last week that the viewership dropped. If this video's viewership drops worse than that one, I probably won't upload another one next week. So we'll see how it goes. But I like uploading TES every week because I love playing the Entomb build. I just don't think I've solved it yet. I really liked the main deck Thoughtseize build, but Defense Grid does have better synergy. I'm just trying to figure things out right now. So hopefully you like my Madman thoughts. I do think Into the Flood Maw is the way, but maybe if you only have Song, Chain of Vapor is better. If you aren't playing Defense Grid, maybe you can get away with Chain of Vapors. I'm not sure. So if you have feedback, put it down below. Yeah, and also just F guys will, really. I feel like match number 1 was stolen from us, and it's funny because when you are playing on Magic Online, it tries to queue you into people with similar records. So when you lose match number 1, you're going to face more, I don't want to be mean here, but more janky decks, like more people playing off meta brews because you're already in the losers bracket. So losing match number 1 was a huge detriment because we were no longer in the winners metagame, and that happens sometimes. So get over it. Welcome to Magic the Gathering, but it is something that I thought of throughout the league. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you appreciate the video. Thank you to Velgrim for the donation deck and your continued support over the years. And have a great day. Keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.